Okay, so I'm Harriet.
I'm Antonia.
So the business that we work for is Futures, which is a recruitment company who go out to tender for different pieces of work, and we recruit in different sectors, in the private sector and the public sector, interim and permanent roles.
And both of us, day to day, are business operations. So we kind of have different roles that we split between us within the company, but both of us just keep us running.
I'd say initially we looked into getting ISO certified because, as I said, we work with a lot of the public sector, and a big area that we're going into is the NHS. And to get into a lot of the NHS roles, we need to be ISO certified to bid for tenders and to get pieces of work. Also, as going through the ISO process, we have just realised how much it is improving just general business practices for us. We decided to go for the ISO certification originally because, as a business, we work with the public sector, and to tender for pieces of work, we needed to become ISO certified. In the process of this certification, we have realised that it's just generally improving our business practices for the company as well.
So we feel that the certifications will help our business because, as a very basic point, it will help us win more work. Specifically with the NHS, it is becoming more and more kind of you just can't really win the work without having it more and more. And as of next year, it will be kind of a condition of even being able to bid. But kind of as a fundamental starting point for our business, it's like helped our health and safety. It's helped us fine tune our policies. It's just made us more structured day to day, and obviously that also helps with kind of keeping people in check, but also themselves keeping them in check. Everyone knows kind of more the things they need to focus on day to day to keep the business at a decent quality. The certification has really helped us future-proof the business. We initially opted for Compliant as our consultant for this process because I initially headed the team when we were very beginning this, and it's not something that I'd ever done before. It's not something I'd even heard of before I worked at Futures. So I really needed a company that could essentially hold my hand, but in a non-technical way. They were going to speak to us like people. And I feel like Compliant, the way they delivered themselves were really personable. But they also had quite a strong female representation in the team that we'd be working with day to day. And that's quite important for us. We're quite a diverse team. And just having people that we feel suit us as people, aside from business-wise, that's a massive thing for us. But Compliant also, as a little benefit for them, they came in at the cheapest to say that they were going to be what we found as the best regardless. Their initial quote was the cheapest of the companies we reached out to.
We decided to stick with Compliant for ongoing support because initially getting the certification, it was such a smooth, easy process that we weren't anticipating it to be that easy actually. We thought it was going to be a huge piece of work, whereas they've just made it seem so easy. And each year we need to get re-evaluated, see whether we're keeping up standards, and we just think it works well for us to work with them because they know who we are as a business now, we know who they are as a business now, and they know what it takes to keep the certifications going. So it just made sense.
I would say that we think the process worked like we thought it would. We didn't go into this with a lot of prior knowledge. Our MD, Tom, has done the ISO process, but many, many years ago. And he noted kind of how much it's changed since then. But for me and Harriet, it was a completely new experience. Compliant did us a really kind of structured approach and drip fed the information, so we never got overwhelmed. So it was actually easier than we thought it was going to be day to day. The work that we needed to complete was very simple and structured, and I think we had a lot more kind of communication and day-to-day casual conversations throughout the process than we thought we were going to. It was a lot more personal and casual than we expected.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a much smoother, easier process than we went into it anticipating.
Yeah, we absolutely utilised all of the resources. They were, as we said, we've had no previous experience with ISO. So the templates were a huge help for us. We used quite a lot of those, and we've also now implemented some of those into our day-to-day business run-ins. So Compliant have had a massive impact on us in that way.
Well, I found it really good, especially Kim. She was very excitable. She gave a lot of energy that just made it a lot easier to bounce off, really. So they brought the energy, and even some days if we sort of went into it, maybe because it's a bit of a laborious task. Like, it's nothing that you really want to be doing, but you sort of just have to do it for the business sake. But when they bring the energy, you sort of just naturally match that.
Yeah, it was a really nice kind of light-hearted way of doing things, and they were really easy to work with. It was just straightforward and professional, but still had that human touch to it that made it feel nice for us to do.
Yeah, I would say they came to our office in the first instance, so they got to get a feel of our business themselves. We got to get a feel of them as well, for whether we wanted to work with them. And the whole process has just been made really smooth, really simple, a lot easier than the it's quite an intimidating task at hand to do it, and the whole process just was seamless, really.
Yeah, compliant definitely tailor their packages to suit us rather than to suit them. Everything they do is to make sure that the client is comfortable. And I don't think we could kind of falter them on that. It was one of the reasons that we really liked working with Compliant, is how personal they made everything.